Hi everyone, my name is Sanjeev. In this video, I will demo how to use SFTP connector in Mule application. I will switch to AnyPoint Studio for demo. I have added a Mule application SFTP-demo. In this application, I have already added SFTP connector. You can add the SFTP connector by using add modules, and you can drag the connector to the other side. SFTP connector have these operations. In my first flow, I'm going to use on new or updated file operation. On new or updated file is a event source. Once the events get triggered, the file data gets processed by rest of the flow. Let's observe the on new or updated file properties and configuration. Here is the connector configuration. Here we need to define the connection. So I have to specify the working directory at SFTP location. So I have specified /mule as a working directory at SFTP location. And then I have to specify the host, port, username and password of the SFTP server. I have installed Rabax Tiny SFTP server for this demo. And I have configured the host name, port, user password to connect to the Rabax SFTP server. Let's click test connection. Connection is successful. We need to specify a directory. So I have given the directory name input. This on new or updated file source component will look at the /mule/input directory at the SFTP location. So this will be the directory that on new or updated file component will look at it. And whenever a file will be added to this location or any file gets updated to this location, event will be triggered and rest of the flow will be processed. Scheduling strategy, you can choose either cron or fixed frequency. I have used the default configuration. So it will poll the file every 1 second or every 1000 millisecond. You can also specify the post processing action. So here by default false, that means files will stay in the /mule/input directory at SFTP location. If we choose the auto delete true, then file will be deleted from the /mule/input folder. We can also move the file before deleting to a folder. I have provided the directory name archive. So I'm going to move the file to the archive folder before deleting it. You can also rename the file. So I'm going to use the DataView expression to rename the file before moving to the archive folder. So I'm using attributes.filename. I'm splitting based on dot. First part I'm getting it, and then I'm using dash, appending dash, and then I'm appending date and time. At the end, I'm appending the dot, second part of file name, that is extension. So I'm adding dot extension here. Let's run this application. Application has been started. I will clear the console. Now I'm going to add the file at /mule/input directory. So this is our working directory. It will look at this SFTP location. So it will look at the /mule/input directory. So I'm going to add a file there once the file is added, the event will come here and rest of the flow will be processed. So let me go to the bin scp and let me show you the file. This is my file. This have header and 2 records. I'm going to move members.csv file to the SFTP location inside /mule/input directory. Let me go to the console. We can see that we have log. So here we are printing the payload in JSON format. That's why we are getting the payload in JSON format. And second logger is printing file processed. And here we are getting file processed. Let me refresh this. So file has been deleted from /mule/input directory at SFTP location because we have specified the post processing action auto delete true. So we are deleting the file, but before deleting we are also moving the file. So we are putting the file inside archive folder and we are renaming the file. So let's check the archive folder as well. Refresh it. So we got the file. So this is the date and here is the time, 9:41, and right now time is 21:43 and that is equivalent to 9 p.m. So this is the file that is moved to the archive folder and it is deleted from the input folder. Now I will close the application and stop the first flow. Now let's talk about second flow. In this flow, I will demo the read operation and move operation. So I'm going to read the file using read operation. I will use HTTP listener and this is the endpoint /read. It have default configuration. So I will invoke /read endpoint and then I will use the SFTP read operation to read the file from SFTP location at /mule/input directory and I'm going to read the members.csv file. Let's check the SFTP configuration. It is same. So still working directory is /mule and SFTP server connection configuration also same. So I'm going to read the file /mule/input/member.csv. Then I'm going to print the payload. Then I'm going to print file processed. At the end, I will move the file from /mule/input directory to the /mule/archive directory. And I'm going to also rename the file. So I'm going to use this data view expression to rename the file. Here I'm getting first part of attributes.file name before dot and then appending date and time AM PM. At the end I'm appending the dot last part of file name, that is extension. Here also I'm using same SFTP configuration. So let's run this application again. Once application starts, I'm going to add a file at /mule/input directory and file name will be members.csv. /mule /input directory, and file name will be members.csv. And then I will read the file using /read endpoint. In case of on new or update, we read the file automatically without calling any HTTP endpoint. But in this case, we need to call HTTP endpoint. We can also use scheduler, but in our case, in our demo, I'm using /read endpoint. So application has been started. Let me clear the console. Now I will go to the bin SCP and I'm going to move a file members.csv inside /mule /input directory at SFTP location. So this file not be processed until I call the /read endpoint. So I will invoke this /read endpoint from Postman. So this is the endpoint I'm going to invoke /read. Click send button. I got the response. So I read the file at /mule /input directory of SFTP location. I read this file. Here we printed the payload in JSON format. Let's check the console. Payload got printed in JSON format. And then I printed file processed. So here we are getting file processed. And at the end, I use the move operation, SFTP connectors move operation. And this operation moved the members.csv file to archive folder from /mule /input directory. And before moving, I renamed the file. So this is the data weave script that I used for renaming the file. So let's go back to the bin SCP. Let me refresh this. The file has been moved out from this folder. Let's go to the archive folder. Let's refresh it. So this is the file. We process the file. We move the file at 9:49 p.m. That is equivalent to 21:49 in 24-hour clock. So we move the file. This is the file content. Now I will show you how to write the file at SFTP location. For that, I'm going to use endpoint /write. This is the payload I'm printing that is coming from endpoint from Postman through HTTP listener. Here I'm setting the variable file name. So I'm giving the file name members dash current date time 4-digit year, month, day, hour, and then AM PM. At the end, I'm giving extension .csv, comma separated value file. Then I'm using choice router, and in both route, I'm converting the payload to CSV. I am using the query parameter first record. When the query parameter value is not true, that time I'm specifying header is equal to false. That means I'm not appending the header in the file. I'm using this choice router to append the payload without header. Here is the write operation. I'm using same configuration /mule working directory and SFTP server location and credential. Here I'm giving the path. So I'm writing the file at slash mule slash output directory at SFTP location, and write mode is append. You can choose any mode. Create new, always new file will be created. Override, you can override the file, that's default. Here in this case I'm using append, that means the file will be appended. Because of this append mode, I'm writing little logic using choice router. I'm only writing the payload with the header when the query parameter first record is equal to true. Otherwise, I'm writing the payload without header. So I'm using this query parameter first records for writing the payload without header. So when first time payload will be written to the file, we need header. So here by default header is equal to true. So header will be written, but in the subsequent append, subsequent writing, we don't need header. That's why I'm specifying header is equal to false. So header will not be written. Our application is already running. Let me clear the console. And I'm going to invoke slash write operation. I'm going to send the payload and I'm going to write the file inside slash mule slash output directory. So this is slash mule slash output directory, and right now there is nothing is there. Now I'm going to invoke the write endpoint slash write endpoint. I'll go to the postman. Here I will invoke the write endpoint with the query parameter first record is equal to true. Click send. We got the response. So we are printing the file payload because of this logger, and then I'm logging the file writing completed. That is coming here, file writing completed. Write operation writes the file at slash mule slash output directory at SFTP location, and here is the file name that I am building, members, date, hour, AM, PM, and .csv. So let's see the output folder slash mule slash output folder. Refresh it. We got the file. We created the file at 10 p.m. that is equivalent to 22. So this is the file we created. This is the payload. Now let me go to the postman. I will invoke the write operation again with the first record as equal to true. Let me check the file. Refresh it. Let me open the file. Here we got the one more payload got appended, but this time we got the header as well. This is not the right way to append the file. We should be having the headers only at the top. So let me remove this. Now I will going to invoke the write operation with the first record as equal to true. We got the response. Refresh it. We can see the data here. Now I will send the another payload, 2 records. These are different records, and I will pass the first record as equal to false. We got the response. Let me open the file. Here we got the new payload and it's got appended without header. So we don't see the header again and again in every append. So I have used the query parameter first record for not writing the header when we are appending the payload after first time. But you can use any other logic as well. For this demo, I use the query parameter. So in this demo, I showed you how to use SFTP connector. I provide a demo for on new or updated file event source operation. I showed you how to use read and move operation. And at the end, I showed you how to write file at SFTP location. And I showed you how to append payload without headers. This is all in this video. If you like this video, click the like button and subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.